Strange games. Proud of my team. I thought we battled. I thought defensively we were pretty good most of the night. I thought offensively we played so good the first half and so poor the second half, and I think Northwestern deserves some credit for that. I love his team. I think they got two of the best wing combinations in the Big Ten in Lon and Lindsay. And our players felt like McQuaid would have been our hockey three-star guy. And he shot awful, and he wasn't very good, but he was really good defensively when he was in the game. Lindsay didn't do much, and that kid's a good player. So, we're getting some out of it, and yet we make some goofy turnovers and not understanding time and possession, and a couple turnovers that I don't know why we're doing it, but it's part of the youth. I thought Nick got awfully frustrated because they beat the hell out of him and did a good job. I mean that in a positive way. And they doubled him. He got frustrated. And to his credit, he settled down in the second half. And even though he didn't score as much and we didn't get him as many shots, he still did a pretty good job. He did a pretty good job defensively, pretty good job rebounding the ball. But we got a lot of growing up to do yet, and that's the way it's going to be with a young group. They said we're playing a lot of good minutes of basketball, but it seems like when we don't play good minutes, it drops off to poor. It's not good or great minutes, because there were some great minutes, and then it goes to maybe average. Ours kind of go from great to awful, and that's where those leads change so fast. And so I got to do a better job, maybe getting some things offensively set. Again, we had some bizarre lineups in there, and it's the way it's going to be. But trust me when I say this was a big win for us against a very good team that's very disciplined and experienced, very well coached. So I'm taking the win, and going to enjoy it for a couple hours.
Tom, I'd like to ask you about Ward. Only 18 minutes, but it wasn't foul issues. Wasn't like he did anything wrong. But, you've got to like the fact he's able coming off that Ward and maybe not have to play as much tonight.
I want him to play a little more. He got frustrated, and we got frustrated with him a little bit. That's going to happen with freshmen, But like I said, I like more when guys respond, okay? DJ, let him know what he thought of, what he was doing, and he responded. And that's a big positive. Cassius, time, possession, under 4 minutes, taking a chance, and we put him right back in. So we're trying to get to know them. They got to continue to trust us, and Elvin's playing good. We still got to get more out of McQuaid. We still got to get more out of Harris, and Maybe we'll start working in our other guy now in practice and see if we can get him going a little bit, which would help too.
In terms of tangible progress, there were 4 or 5 times they had it to 4 points and never got it closer. Those defensive stands there, those are moments against Florida Gulf Coast, Northeastern that didn't go as well. Is that something you see that's tangible toughness or whatever?
Yeah, we are getting a little tougher. We were battling in there. We all rebounded them bad. And it's mostly because our defense was so good. We didn't give up a lot of penetration until late, but we're trying to figure out when to switch and when not to switch, and certain lineups in there. And I told my staff with about 3 minutes left, I said, God, it's hard to ever feel comfortable with this group right now, but it's not all their fault. It just there's times we have lineups in there that probably shouldn't be in there. And yet, we talked about that in the timeouts. We got to get stops because our offense isn't going as good, so we got to get stops. And we'll do a better job getting the ball to Nick. We need Nick. We got to find a way to get McQuaid and Harris involved. And that'll be my job more so than theirs.
You kind of alluded to that, Tom. The defense, I think you guys held them with 2 field goals maybe in the last 11 and a half minutes. Was that maybe the best stretch of defense that you guys have played this year?
Yeah, I think it was. And I think, it was interesting to hear my players when I got into the locker room. That's what they were talking about, For players, when the coaches aren't around to talk about defense is un-American. And So that's what they were doing, and that's when they said something about McQuaid, and it made me feel good. We still make some boneheaded plays now. I mean, there's some head scratchers once in a while, but for the most part, we're playing over it. We're getting through it. We're growing up a little bit. I can't tell you. I'm not trying to make this like we beat the Celtics, but that's a good team we beat. That's been playing good and came in very confident. And maybe, I said these last two games, Thomas Kelly said to me, Coach, these are old Big Ten games. Physical, grinding, and our fast break was electric, I thought, at times. But what was best of all was our crowd. You know, those guys that came back, however many hundreds and hundreds of them that came back from all over the country, was impressive. Our community rallied around these guys with no students here. That was impressive. That place was live. And I've always said, we're not that good a team to win without. You got to have a home court. You got to have guys doing their job. You got to have a lot of things. Today, a lot of things went together except our offense. And in the second half, first half, it was dynamite. So we got to get better.
Coach, you singled out Alvin Ellis after the Minnesota win, that word that you go back to, toughness, mentally, physically tough. He was such a big part of what you were doing tonight. How pleased are you that he was able to carry over what he did in that game to this game?
Well, I'm very pleased, and a senior should do that, but that is what you look for, At the same time, I saw Nick have a big game and then get frustrated when they took something away, and that's what a freshman should do. So, Alvin, we made him earn his way back, and to his credit, he has. And it's helping us, and I think it's helping him. And that's the beauty of college. That's the neat thing about the process of growing up. You always want to speed it up. Sometimes it goes a little slower than you'd like. Sometimes it goes fast. But happy for Elvin, and I'm happy for us because he's been a big part of our resurgence here.
Tom, in the pregame, Miles Bridges seemed to be moving pretty well out there. Now that you guys are 2-0 to start the Big Ten, does that allow you the luxury of maybe bringing him along a little slower than maybe you wanted to?
Are you crazy? I'm going to bring Miles along as slow as he medically can be and as fast as he medically can be. We need Miles, we really do. He is working out. We did let him go through warm-ups. I don't know what that means. Workouts will intensify the next couple days, but everything has looked great so far. Now, the problem will be when he comes back, he ain't going to be the same Miles Bridges. Even him is going to, go through a growing period again and learning period. And, that's going to take weeks. But I am never going to put him in any position of taking a chance. But we do have to get him back, or the longer he's out, the longer it takes to get back. So there will be nothing done, him and I and his mom, and we're going to sit down with the doctors and just make sure everything's all right. But I told you last week, and that's where we are right now, a lot of this is up to Miles, and I'm going to trust him 75-25. I know him. He's tough enough, and I know bad he wants to play, so I'm not giving him 100% trust. I will make some decisions. It wasn't as crazy a question as I said. I think you can tell from me, this kid is, we need him back because he was so good on the bench again. He was so good at halftime. I got a special player there, and I just want to make sure we give him enough time that he's around the rest of the season, and yet we do what medically we're capable of doing it. That's what we're doing. He's been running, he's been shooting now. The next thing will be cutting and jumping, but he's had no problems at all with it. And if he was a normal guy, I could probably play him. I mean that because I got to worry about a little more than just the norm with him. And so him and I are going to have some great talks in the next couple of days, and we'll figure it out.
Tom, to use your words, 2 wars that you played in this week out in Minneapolis. You guys trail by double digits here. You're up by. Northwestern almost closes it. But in a season where you face this many challenges and a lot of trial by fire, is this just kind of a week where you look back, you take the 2 wins, and keep kind of improving what you do in practice?
Yeah, that's exactly like you were in our locker room. That's exactly what I said to our team, and in all honesty, my assistant coaches said to me. You know, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't always great. But we gutted some things out. You know, I've questioned their toughness. I did it publicly because I'm honest. And I also question, you know, how hard we're playing all the time because it's not their fault. They don't know. You know, I've had one of them today say, well, I think I'm playing harder and you guys don't think I am. I said, trust us. The film doesn't lie. Trust us, you know. And that's not all their fault either. It's been interesting, as I say, as I call around the country, which I always do during Christmas and talk to different coaches. I mean, everybody's got the same problems and everybody's trying to, you know, but ours are with a lot of young guys. And as I said, it's not only those 3 freshmen, it's a lot of other guys that don't have as much experience. And I think today we took another major step. Now, the key will be, I'm not satisfied, but if they are, we're in trouble because we're just not one of those teams that's going to overpower anybody. But we can create some problems, and we're going to get those shooters shooting. And we get Nick in there, and he's been a load for people. And when they doubled him today, we didn't take advantage of it. And I think that's my fault. I got to do a better job of making sure that we hurt people when they put 2 on one guy, and we'll do a better job of that by Wednesday. Oh, he was getting beat up pretty good, you know. I think they went at him pretty good, and you know he doesn't mind, but he didn't handle it very well. Then he, you know, was holding on to the ball. We did talk about a couple things we were going to do against it, and he didn't do that. So, you know, a little bit of everything. But he bounced back, you know. I mean, that's right now what I love is he bounced back. Some players jumped him at halftime, and he liked it. He bounced back, you know, and that's what I love about this team right now. It's still a very close-knit team. Not coaching each other yet, but taking some steps towards it. Miles has helped that too.
Kind of building off that last question, and toughness aside, what have you really seen developmentally out of the team in these last 2 games against 12-win opponents as compared to games against Duke and other games in the gauntlet?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because we played awfully good against Duke for a lot of minutes in that game too. I think we're learning how to figure out how to win. I think we're learning how to figure out when things don't go right, we got to knuckle down defensively so that we give ourselves a chance. You know, in that Duke game, it was boom, 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 2 threes, 2 turnovers, and game was over, you know. We're doing a better job of that. You know, we made some free throws today. That's helped. You know, I think there's a lot of things, and most of them are just maturing and getting to know each other a little more, and we're going to get better. I mean, I said we're going to get better. We still got some time at Christmas here to get a little better. And then we'll be ready for a hell of a run, I hope.
You talk about getting some certain guys started, getting them involved. I guess right now, what's the balance on continuing to play guys? Because you want them to break out versus, you know, starting to limit minutes and things like that as you get further into league play.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's why if you guard, that's why McQuaid played 20 minutes, you know. He was shooting well enough to play 2. But he did other things that helped us. I thought Langford, you know, we got to get him more shots too, but he's starting to rebound a little better. He's starting to look like the guard we thought he would be. And we got to get him some shots. Made a great pass to Nick. But we got to get him a few more shots. But he played 27 minutes, no turnovers. And there's no question. Everybody's going to question what Harris is doing, including me. You know, he's struggling a little bit right now. Sometimes when you're a senior, you put pressure on yourself. And sometimes You got to figure out what you got to do to stay on the floor. And if you're not shooting well, you got to do other things. So I'm not ready to pull the plug on anybody yet as far as I think those 4 wing guys are all going to play. You know, we get Miles back, we'll add another guy in there. There'll be some other guys that aren't going to play as much as they've been playing just because of the situation. But it won't be Harris and Ellis and McQuaid and Langford right now. I'm pleased with them. I've even pleased when we put Cassius and Tom in there together. You know, Tom played 20-some minutes and did his thing. So he's getting to be a 3-point shooter, but Tom had 5 rebounds. I don't know. Tom had, did he? 5 rebounds. You know, that's damn good.
Tom, I was talking to an NBA scout this morning about Miles, and he said that one of the biggest things fans don't grasp is if a kid's out 4 weeks and comes back, they expect in the NBA it will take 4 weeks of playing to get back to where they were before the injury. Is that maybe the reality of the world you were hinting at a minute?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be quite that long for great players. The problem is, I think it'll be close to, it's going to take a while because he's a freshman. You know, if it was Denzel and you come back, if it was Mateen and he misses, 2.5 months, but he comes back, but he's a 4-year guy, This poor kid is a freshman. Now, as hard as he's worked, I'm really anxious to see where his conditioning's at because I've watched him every day. And, I mean, he's the closest thing to Mateen Cleaves as far as pushing it and the things he could do, the biking, the arm stuff, all the pool work, all the things he could do. He's beat it up, but it's never the same as running, But one thing about Miles, he's a confident kid, and he's got some toughness to him. And I'm going to be excited to get him back, but I am going to be patient because you're right. He's not going to be come back, and he might have a big game right off the bat, but the next 2-3 weeks aren't going to be easy for him either. You're right. And we're all going to have to live with that and have to find a way to work him in. But that's a better problem to have than looking at him sitting on a bench in street clothes, I'll tell you that. Thanks, guys.